Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
I'm Brittany Pacheco.
I'm Frankel Cooper.
Tristan Jones, first of his name.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today to talk about Season 1, Episode 9 of the HBO series House of the Dragon. The episode is titled The Green Council. And, usually I ask about like overall impressions or whatever, but let's just get to the main question. Why didn't Rhaenys just burn them all at the end? She had the chance, the queen who never was could have ended the Dance of the Dragons before it ever began. So, Brittany, what are your thoughts on that?
Rhaenys didn't end the war because that's not how the book went.
I mean, I get we wouldn't have a show if she did, but like if any of us are in that scenario from a strategical point, like you end it right there.
It's also a very Mad King like mentality, of course, and
they're getting ready to kill everybody else.
No, not necessarily everybody else. The Greens are just ready to kill Rhaenyra and all her people, not everybody that was encompassing
Rhaenys people too.
Well, that's fair. No, that's the real reason why Rhaenys didn't end it right there and then. She very much could. Now, in the portion that follows the episode, inside the episode, the showrunners talked about how, yes, Rhaenys very much could have ended it. She could have prevented the war and there would have been a time of prosperity and peace. But for one mother to do that to another mother is not a decision that, in their opinions, Rhaenys could live with. So therefore she did not make that decision. And therefore people are going to have questions and people are not going to like it. So that's kind of what it is.
Okay, fine. Frank, what do you think?
She's better than me. Because if you lock me in my room, first off, I'm a highborn and I'm a guest to King's Landing. You lock me in my room with no explanation whatsoever. In my mind, I'm thinking you're about to kill me. I mean, we just had a discussion the night before about how Driftmark was supposed to go and all this kind of stuff, and then also I'm locked in my room for an unknown amount of time. You come and then Alicent comes to my room talking about pledging fealty to her son and all that kind of stuff. So like in my mind, my life's in danger, right? And then a nice armor saves my life. I would dust all them hoes. That's just me because that's just I mean, but I think for her, she wanted to show grace. She had a conversation with Alicent previously, and that's in the same episode about doing all these deeds for the good of for extension of what the men of the Seven Kingdoms wanted. I think she wanted to show grace and show them like, hey, I could have killed y'all motherfuckers, but I'm gonna go a more peaceful route and hope that we can come to a more peaceful resolution. So I think that's why she did what she did. And plus she has grandchildren and people that are at stake as well that she cares about and doesn't want to start a war. Um, so I think that's why she did what she did.
Okay, Tristan, do you agree with that, or what are your thoughts?
I don't agree with the fact that like killing everybody there was going to be the end all be all. Like, oh hey, we killed the queen, like, and the king's like family. Like, oh, so what's happening in the Reach? Like, no, there would have been some retaliation. There would have been war regardless if she did that. Like some faction, somebody, the High Tower, somebody would have taken up arms. Whether it would have been prosperous or not, whatever. Like it wasn't going to be the end of conflict. And the reason I think she doesn't do it is because one, I don't know. Well, I think Rhaenys is smart. Side note, Rhaenys might also be creeping up as my favorite character. But I don't think she has full common reason or common cause to believe that the Greens are against her. I mean, I'm sure she could, kind of look a few steps ahead and say, well, if they plan to usurp Rhaenyra, they have to get rid of Daemon and what's happening to like my grandchildren and all these things. So like, I'm sure, but I don't know. This was not in the book. Like I have this. This is not canon. This is not something that happens. Like right. I thought it was like a dream sequence when like the floor started shaking. I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, sadly, I thought this was going to be like a coronation without any major hiccups, and man, I'm that's foolish of me, but I think she doesn't do it. Another reason I think she doesn't do it is because I think when she sees Alicent hop in front of Aegon, I think there's kind of like that mother to mother instinct, like you're doing this. The only reason you're doing any of this is to save your children, or because of some love for the children. I think Rhaenys knows Alicent herself doesn't really have the stomach or the desire for power or for like absolute power, but she sees a little bit of something in herself where I think Rhaenys would have done the same. Like Alicent hopped in front of her child in front of a dragon and was like, I'm not running. I'm not like, this is just what it is. So I think Rhaenys either respects or just kind of pities Alicent for like her willingness to, take a bullet for her child.
I think also in many ways, I could interpret it as earlier in the episode, Alicent and Rhaenys had this conversation about, will you pledge your fealty to Aegon, support Aegon? We need your dragon in the event that Rhaenyra comes and attacks, etc. And Alicent leaves the room to lock Rhaenys back up and say, ring the bell when you have your answer about whether or not you're going to support us or not. And that clearly was the answer. Popping up out of the floorboards, the way that Helena has been prophesizing, if you will. I guess they really are trying to peg her as like a dreamer like Targaryen. But for Rhaenys to show up with her dragon and not say Dracarys, to burn everyone to the ground, that was her answer. It's like, I'm not here to support you, but I'm also sparing your life right here, right now. So one could even stretch it to say Alicent owes her, but it's not going to go anywhere because, like Tristan said, and as mentioned earlier, this did not happen in the book at all. The way that the coronation happened, yes, parts of it happened the way that we saw it, but the majority of it was a show creation. And a lot of this episode took great creative liberties with just 12 pages that was used from Fire and Blood. I looked it up. I started the chapter and then I got to the point where we concluded the coronation, and it's only 12 pages. So to get this one whole episode out of 12 pages was incredible. And they stretched a lot of the storyline, created a lot of new things to consider, one of which was really disturbing. We'll get into that later. But yeah, the Rhaenys, like we've talked about it before, episode 9s for all seasons are generally like a big, huge turning point. That was the big turning point.
Yeah, that was a big end to the episode. In the coronation in the book, did Aegon also fist pump his sword like he was like a soccer celebration, like he just won the Champions League and he's lifting it up and the crowd celebrating? Because that reminded me of that, like because he did it like 3 or 4 times, and every time the crowd's like like I don't know, I like that.
That was a football is life. That's what it reminded me of.
He was playing for Real Madrid or something. What the coronation overall, Frank, what did you think about how that was handled? How it looked, the whole setup.
Oh, it looked grand. It looked like the ushering of a new era. I mean, you can tell Otto put a lot of thought into it. He tried to make it as grand and as magnificent as possible. I mean, the way it looked, the scenery of it, the setup was very, very regal per se. The crowd reaction wasn't as regal initially, but Otto trying to usher in a new era with his grandson at the helm was something that he has been wishing for over 20 years. So I mean, that was a great job. HBO spent a lot of money with your dragons, with these grand entrances, with the coronation. Like I'm very, very pleased that they're not sparing any expense to really convey this new era that we're going into with this show.
Yeah, I didn't like how Otto was kind of like the MC of the coronation, and he started off. It's the saddest of days. King Viserys the Peaceful, the king is dead, but it's also the joyous of days. And it's like
that
what?
That was a very Loki interpretation of things when Loki is just kind of like, yeah, it's very sad.
Right.
Anyway, blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
that's what that reminded me of.
Well, so
I'm giving Alicent like half credit on like the coronation. Like she
She told
we saw
him. She called it. Yeah.
He told him like, this is how it's going to be. We're like, we're going to make sure that all the insignia, all of the indicators of like a new ruler, we're going to make sure we have all that: the dagger, the sword, the crown. Have all the common people into the throne, into the coronation room, and all this. Like, that was mostly Alicent. I think Otto loves to be the MC, but Alicent, I think what we're seeing is her behind the scenes planning is getting much sharper, as it's kind of had to get sharper. But yeah, I'm giving her half that credit.
Yeah, no, it was a well done coronation. So we start off with the end. So we'll talk about the beginning here in a second. But I just want to ask y'all: is Viserys not going to get a funeral? Are we just going to like move on? Like, I mean,
can I comment on that real fast?
Go for it. Yeah.
All right. So my note taking for this episode was heavily comparing what happened in the book versus what we got in the show. Again, lots of creative liberties, lots of show creations, which were not bad. I'm not mad about any of this. However, in the book, when Viserys died, to the time that the bells rang to announce his death, it was a matter of a week. Okay. I mean, everything that went on with the Green Council planning what they were planning, to making sure that Aegon was the one that was going to ascend. They wanted to do this coronation very quickly so that Rhaenyra obviously couldn't come and lay claim to anything. But yeah, Viserys was done dirty. He by the time that he was actually seen by the Silent Sisters, the ones who, wrapped him in the fuel, I can't say the word, but they wrapped him up. It had been days. I mean, he was literally rotting in his bedchambers. And I really hated it how that was done in the book. And I'm kind of glad that, at least in the course of the TV show, you kind of really can't tell how many days have passed. But Viserys was done dirty. So
I think it's a day, maybe. Like maybe 2 days max, right? It's
I don't
a quick
know.
turnaround because they don't want people to know. And
right.
How long can you keep that under wraps?
Yeah, it's hard to tell with the TV show, but in the book, he died on the third day of the third moon of 129 AC, and the bells tolled on the 10th day of the third moon of 129 AC. So that's the course of a week. So yeah, Viserys, my dude, was done very dirty. I feel bad for the man, especially because they're regarding him as Viserys the Peaceful, and it's like he did not have a peaceful farewell at all. None whatsoever.
Yeah, he was.
Just go ahead, T.
Oh no, I was just gonna really quick. Like, it was so long that they had to light like 9,900 candles or some shit like that, because he was stinking.
Yeah.
Like from the time he dies in 129, this is gonna be a 2-year, like a 2-year drama-filled, action-packed. A lot of niggas gonna die over the next 2 years. Like it's gonna be like I can't wait to see how, because like when you read Fire and Blood, from what I remember, like there's event after event, death after death, fight after fight, war after war over these next 2 years. So I would love to see how they either spread this out or condense it for the show content.
So 2 years. So you're saying that Aegon's reign is not going to be very long.
He means more so the Dance of the Dragons timeline.
No, I know, but I mean, I don't think he's going to make it out of the Dance of the Dragons. It's just my guess.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything, but in terms of Dance of the Dragons, that is a timeline that spans for 2 years. And from what we recently saw on Twitter, different social media platforms, according to George R.R. Martin, in order to tell this story correctly, it's going to take a total of 4 seasons with 10 episodes apiece. So that's incredible. I'm actually very excited for that, because I am here for the House of the Dragon.
But that's all so confused. Like, how you gonna be able to compress all of that? So like, even with all the fast forwarding, the flash forwards they've done, he's saying 4 years, 4 seasons, 10 episodes apiece, so 40 more episodes, or including this season.
30 more episodes. Yeah.
30 more. Okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot happens. Like I don't know how you
Yeah.
cover all of that in a couple. Because like when I heard a limited series, I was like, well, are we doing like a couple of seasons? Like, how you gonna be able to fit all of this in 20 episodes. That's gonna be impossible. But okay, if it's 40 episodes in all, then okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we said 3 last week was a sweet spot, but I think 3 would be the sweet spot if everything came together as far as them condensing things in a clean manner. But if you don't have to condense things and you can get that extra season, take the extra season. I trust George on this. He said Game of Thrones should have been about 10 to 12 seasons. He was absolutely right. I trust him on this.
We were robbed.
We were definitely robbed. I'll never get over that shit.
Well, but he still hasn't finished his story, has he?
But that if there's one thing George R. R. Martin is going to do, he's going to throw out some distractors for y'all to play with while he does not finish these books.
That's true. That's true. He could do all these. He can do all these other minor stories, you know, about the ice dragon and all this other shit, but not finish a Song of Ice and Fire. Come on, George, get with the program.
I'm worried about his health, man. Like, come on, man. These days are not guaranteed.
Yeah, who's the heir to that throne? You know what I mean? We got to find out. Somebody out there is. So let's go back. We talked about the end of the episode. Let's start talking about the beginning of the episode. As we saw at the end of episode 8, Viserys is dead, and we see a one of the child spies, I guess, is informing Talia, who is Alicent's handmaiden. And she tells Alicent. Alicent tells Otto, and then almost immediately we get like the Green Council. They start putting their plan in action, and we have a special meeting. And Alicent is like, you know, she's very shocked to hear that they've already got this figured out. They're ready to pull the trigger. And the fact that Viserys told her that Aegon, that he said that his dying wish was to put Aegon on the throne. And of course, she doesn't understand it's not that Aegon. And then, you know, the fact that Otto's just like, hey, this is a gift, and here we go. It's just like the look. I mean, Olivia Cooke is great in this whole series, but her acting in that scene was especially great because you can just tell, like, you know, like obviously she's portrayed to be on the bad side, right? We talked about this with Tristan, like, but she is not purely evil as you see her as a mother and just as a character. She's not, but she's with this group that like they're ready to roll. I mean, they were going to do this anyway. Now the fact that Viserys said Aegon as he was dying, they're like, cool, we're good.
So what I will say to that, and once again, for those who may have not tuned into our previous pods about the prophecy that Aegon was speaking about to Alicent has no clue what this prophecy about because it's meant to be between king and heir. That was thrown back into this show to make the Dance of the Dragons plotline more plausible. So Alicent in the book is pretty ruthless, in my opinion. And everyone can agree or disagree. That's fine. Doesn't bother me. But she's far more ruthless in the book than she is in the show. The show, they've definitely made her a far more sympathetic, compassionate human being, which is great because that play off between who she is as a person and then the people that she has supporting her, you can see that struggle between that and her father, that and Lord Larys Strong and things of that nature. So in the book, it's kind of like, nope, I'm here. Let's you know, kill the bastards and kill Rhaenyra and let's do all the things. But in the show, completely different perspective and a completely different attitude towards, you know, who she is. You know, she's found religion or is trying to make amends with things, but she's surrounded by people who have been planning behind her back, and she's not okay with that. She's not okay with murdering Rhaenyra or her children, and she does say, and I think rightfully so, that's not what Viserys would have wanted. He wouldn't have wanted that for his child.
I think it's important to remember with Fire and Blood that it's written by 3 men. So a lot of the perspectives of all of the characters, specifically Rhaenyra and Alicent, is going to be told through the lens of these men with these antiquated feelings about women. I guess you couldn't call it antiquated since it was like medieval time, but like, you know, these very rigid, sexist thoughts about women, even women in high positions. Like, they just thought very little of these women. So I love that the show is able, like George called it, like a true accounting of like the events that happen in Dance of Dragons. And I love that we can tell this story through the lens of like different, like just diverse perspectives. Like we have women writing and directing some of these episodes. We just have, you know, directors and like, yeah, like it's not, they're not mirroring or paralleling the very misogynistic perspective that Fire and Blood is being told through. So yeah, we should get a more nuanced Alicent Hightower. We should get a Rhaenyra who's not portrayed like she is in the book. Like neither one of them are portrayed well in the book. Like we have to know that. So like that's why again a couple episodes I'm like, man, this whole Rhaenyra as feminist hero or feminist protagonist does not jive well with anything that happens in the book canon. But yeah, we should see more nuanced characters. Not only is that's a George R.R. Martin thing. Like the characters are way more nuanced in A Song of Ice and Fire than they are in Fire and Blood. Fire and Blood is straightforward. You're either evil, you're bad. A lot of the rumors about each of these characters, people run with them. They become pretty much fact. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing just much more complex characterization of these women as opposed to the book.
Hey Frank, what did you think about Alicent in the scene with the Green Council?
I mean, I appreciate the empathy that she has. I just wish she was smarter. Your dad is Otto Hightower. Like your dad is Otto Hightower.
Right.
You've known Otto for all your life. The day that Emma died, your father pimped you out the night of her death. Like you cannot be surprised, my G. You cannot be surprised that he has provisions put in place to take out any type of threat towards your son's crown or towards your son. So the coyness and like the the inexperience part kind of ignore me from the mere fact that you grew up with this man and you know what lengths he will go to eradicate any type of threat that will come towards his power dynamic. So, but the acting in that scene was very powerful. I love the acting, but I was a bit annoyed, just a bit.
And you know, Alicent wasn't the only one who was surprised by this planned coup. Lord Lyman Beesbury, he's not down with the treason. So Kristen Cole sits him down and just so happens to crush the side of his face into his little cue ball that he's got sitting there. I've always wondered like what those are all about. I guess it's like a
Right.
timekeeping device or whatever, but we got to see it put in
So,
action.
so if I
But
remember correctly in the books, I believe Mushroom had an account that Kristen Cole threw him out of a window.
Yep.
Is that true? Is that if I remember correctly?
Mushroom had like one or two different accounts where
3.
where
and he slit
Beesbury
his throat.
slit his throat
Yeah.
and or threw him out the window and the spike slate took him, or the account from is it Septon damn, what's his name? Eustace or Munkin had said that he basically dismissed himself. He basically said, I'm not for this. He walked out. He was later arrested and then died in the black cells. So
Okay.
take with it what you will. But this interpretation with Kristen, and like I said last episode, Sir Kristen's gonna be coming in hot from here on out.
I just for some reason I have a bad memory, but I just remember the window part for some reason. I was like, so I remember reading, I was like, my man, you threw an old man at the goddamn window, bro. What the fuck? Like that's what part that just like kind of just like
Yeah, Sir Kristen don't give a fuck.
yeah.
No, the part that threw me was that man, we just killed this old ass man, and we just
Keep on moving.
turn our cameras back on Zoom and
Right.
Not only that, he's like, we're not leaving the room until we come up with a resolution.
I mean,
Black
shit,
dude was like,
they hadn't
hey.
done anything for Viserys at that point, so why were they going to do anything for Lord Beesbury? I mean,
Yeah,
shit.
but Viserys is not there. Viserys is in his bed.
Yeah,
This man is
that's
like
true.
dead on the table.
That's true. And then how like Tylan just kind of gets out of the way
He
when
got out of the way.
Lord Westerling draws his sword and Sir Kristen responds in the same. And I'm thinking, Sir Kristen, this is your Lord Commander. What the fuck are you doing? But that's going to show just how Kristen puts the queen before his oath. Obviously, he's still salty about the shit that went down with Rhaenyra. I need him to be like Gendry and just like build a bridge and get over it. Everyone should be more like Gendry. And how challenging, and this was the interesting too with Lord Westerling, because by this point in the book, he's already dead. I don't know if it was like a battle or something, but he's already dead. But I liked how he went out on his own terms with his dignity intact and saying, I only respond to the king. Because there is no king,
Right.
there's no place for me here. And he
See,
takes off his white cloak and leaves.
that's the question I was going to ask y'all. So, obviously, taking him down might be tougher than the old guy, but like, why was he able to resign his post and just walk out freely?
I was surprised about that too, because at this point, you're killing high lords left and right. At this point, like,
Right.
how does he able to walk out the door unscathed? That part surprised me because like Brittany said, he's not alive at this point in the book. So I just knew that that was gonna be his bye exit tour in that scene. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that would have played out, because obviously he wasn't going to listen to what the Lord Hand had to say about going to Dragonstone and killing Rhaenyra and everybody. So maybe they figured, okay, he's not a threat. If he's not for us, he's also not against us. So maybe that's their logic. I think it's flawed logic.
Flawed as fuck.
But also, like saying like take your best knights and go to Dragonstone. It's like,
Yeah,
he's probably like, they got dragons. Like,
exactly.
I mean, I'm probably not coming back.
Right.
So
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no way that you can attack. It's kind of like the Veil. Like Dragonstone sits on like an island, and it's like it's only one way in and one way out. There's no way that you can surround Dragonstone or like attack Dragonstone from the front or the rear without dragons get on your ass.
And Daemon is like the most dangerous man in the realm. So good luck, I guess. Like
Yes, we support him and all his crimes here. Just saying. At least Frank and I do.
It's for all that, give me all that toxic energy, dog.
Hell yeah.
So Tristan, what are your thoughts about Harold Westerling resigning and just bouncing?
I mean, shout out to him. I do understand the not killing him, because you can't just be out here killing Kingsguard like that. That's
Wait. There's a moral
fire.
code now, so it's okay to
God, here
kill
we
a
go.
hot.
Here we go.
No. I'm just saying, like they
Here we
murdered.
go.
I mean, they just killed somebody.
They just murdered somebody at the Green Council.
He wasn't a. Who gives a fuck about Lyman Beesbury? Like,
he's the
who gives
leader
a-
of he's the leader of a house on the Green Council. He's very important.
He's not Kingsguard. And then two, who's gonna kill him?
No, that's my point. I mean, that's probably the reason. But
That's why
like,
Chris didn't try. Chris could have tried. I
yeah,
mean,
he would have tried. He would have
tried. He would have tried,
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can try to, dunk on Rudy Gobert like that. Fun times, but
I can do
no.
it. No, just kidding.
No. I totally understand. Like that, nobody was gonna try. Nobody was even gonna try to kill him. Like,
Yeah.
they're just, come on, man. Like, if you've already dishonored part of yourself to a large amount of people, because it's a lot of people going back on their oath. Yeah, you just killed the Master of Coin, or Kristen Cole killed the Master of Coin. You're gonna kill the Kingsguard? Who the hell is getting behind y'all?
This is war,
like,
Tristan. Tristan, this is
Yeah,
war,
and
bro.
in war, you don't. That's just shit you don't do in war in order to like make sure you can keep getting allies.
So
Like,
wait,
you have to
now
keep
now
getting
during
allies.
war we get a moral compass? What?
I
It's
don't
not
get. I don't.
moral. It's intelligent. Like, how do,
Well,
how,
I know-
Tomato,
yeah.
tomato.
If I
how
don't,
am I going
if
to
I don't told,
inspire loyalty if I'm killing Kingsguard? Like, come on, you have to inspire loyalty. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
War is not
Yeah,
just some
but-
kamikaze shit where we just kill everybody and without thought.
Tristan.
Man, maybe this person would be an ally. Maybe this person would. Oh my! Like, come on, man. Like,
Tristan,
what are we talking
Tristan,
about?
that would have made sense. But in the very next scene, when they're in the throne room and they're asking people to either be loyal or be against us, they would have killed anybody who wasn't gonna be for them. So at this point, if you're not with them, you're against them, and they would have killed you.
You cannot kill a Kingsguard Like certain shit just means shit to a lot of people. And you again,
Didn't mean much
Team
to
Green.
Jamie when he killed the king.
Nobody
but
would have
okay.
known, but nobody would have known if he gets killed in that council room. Nobody would have known.
Everybody would have known. There's a Kingsguard missing, and the last place he was seen was going into the damn council. Like
They could
people are
lie.
not stupid.
They could lie and be like, "Oh, well, shit. I guess he died somewhere along the way." I mean,
They'll be
shit.
like, Lord Commander. We had a Lord Commander. What?
Lord Commander goes missing. What? With a sword mark? Or what? Like no.
I mean, the prince
Can't
is
kill it.
missing though.
And no one gives a fuck about him. It's fine.
They do. They make him king. What are you talking about? We have a competing race to go find him, but we're jumping ahead. Go ahead.
There's moral compasses in every war. Like since we've been watching Game of Thrones, we've all like bemoan like the lack of moral compass in some of these actions in war. Hell, the Red Wedding, the reason why everybody hated the phrase, the reason why everybody was like how shocked at how bad that shit was because they killed somebody in their house. Like, yeah, it was war. You like that's how Tywin rationalizes war. Would you rather have a few people die at dinner or thousands die on the
But that's my
battlefield?
point. But that's my point though. If a Tywin or Water's going to do it, what makes you think that nobody else in this realm would do it? And any point in time of Ice and Fire. That's all I'm saying. We've seen it done before. Tristan, is what I'm saying.
And I'm saying you shouldn't do it. And I'm saying it's stupid.
You're
That's what I'm
right.
saying.
You're right.
Remarkably stupid. And that's why they didn't do it. It's stupid.
I agree with you that you shouldn't do it. All I'm
Okay,
saying
then
is
we can end the conversation.
all I'm saying
Like,
is all I'm saying is it's been done. It's been done before, and it's not, and it's probably not going to stop anytime soon.
A lot of stupid shit should not be replicated. That's what I'm saying. You should not
Listen,
kill a Kingsguard. You should
can
not
I
kill
just-
Lord Commander of the Kingsguard ever.
Can I just
Unless
say,
you have a reason.
can I just say, I'm just glad all of us are not in one room because I'm pretty sure swords would have already been like drawn, and this would be another Sir Kristen, Sir
I'm a
Sir
pacifist. I'm a
Westerling. Yeah, I mean this. We talked about here this being the House of the Watchers and shit. Like, oh my gosh, that's great.
My words are the sword. I don't need swords.
Okay. Touche.
So let's wrap this up for Westerling. Do y'all think we'll see him again? Because obviously in the books, you don't see him again, right? Or do you?
I think we'll see him again. Well, I mean,
We're
this is me
definitely gonna see him
guessing.
again.
I think we'll see him again on Team Black.
That's what I was thinking.
In Viserys' memory.
Okay.
I could see that. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a spoiler to say he's going to die because he dies in the book. It's just a matter of how at this point. But yeah, I think we'll see him.
I have a question for everybody. I've been waiting weeks to ask this question, like literally since week 1.
Okay.
Viserys dies. You are Alicent Hightower, each one of you. What is your next move after Viserys dies?
Run for my motherfucking life.
But why? Or what? Like, do you try to install Aegon? Do you bend the knee to Rhaenyra? Like, what are you doing after Viserys?
But are we talking I'm Alicent from the show or I'm Alicent from the book? Two very different Alicents. Okay, the show.
I agree with that.
The show. Having heard the quote unquote prophecy, and I have no fucking clue what that means. All I heard was the name Aegon, and I think my deceased husband wanted to install him after years and years and years saying it's always been Rhaenyra. I would still run for my motherfucking life. I mean, attempt all you want to place Aegon on the throne, but like, I think in the back of your head, having known Rhaenyra for so many years, you need to run and run with your kids and try to save them all.
Frank, go for it.
I'm going back to Eye Tower because if I'm Alicent, my kids aren't safe. In my opinion, my kids aren't safe. I'm taking my kids, I'm pledging to Rhaenyra and taking my kids to High Tower.
If I'm Alicent, I'm just ruling as queen. We're changing the rules, changing the game. Alicent is now the queen of the 7 kingdoms. And if Rhaenyra doesn't like it, trial by combat, winner take all. They've already kind of fought anyway. What's that?
Rhaenyra has a dragon.
That's true. Okay, well, not winning. Okay,
like, you're losing.
But you have the biggest dragon. You have Vhagar. So
You also have a psychopath who
Right.
wields Vagar. So yeah,
A
Tristan.
lot of stipulations. A lot of stipulations for me. It's a loser leaves town match. No dragons allowed. Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Tristan, we'll turn the tables on you. Same question, but what would you do if you were Alicent?
So I mean, if we have to look at both options, right? One option is if she ignores what she thinks is Viserys' dying wish, and just say, okay, Rhaenyra's heir. I bend the knee to Rhaenyra. I think you're okay. I think she's okay up until until it's time to pass on that throne. And then a lot of people are going to come out the woodwork and say those children are not, true-born sons of Laenor Velaryon. And then I think Otto Hightower was right the whole way. Like Rhaenyra is going to have to, she's going to have to compete against Alicent's kids for that throne. Like that has to happen. So like this, it's a no-win situation, completely no-win situation. What I would do, I don't think Alicent wanted to ever rule, and I think she knows her children are should not rule. So why do it? If I'm Alicent, I bend the knee to Rhaenyra, and I take Frank's advice, and I go back to Old Town with my long lost son, youngest son is just chilling. Yeah, and I go there, and I'm like, hey, we don't want this throne. Nobody in my family wants this throne except my father.
Yeah.
But we don't want this shit.
Because at least in Hightower you're protected. You have the people behind you in Hightower, and Hightower is one of the more powerful houses in the Seven Kingdoms. I just think if I'm Alicent, not knowing anything about the prophecy, and I hear my son's name come off my husband's mouth or whatever, I'm gonna say to myself, ain't nobody fucking here to even back up corroborate what I heard. So why would I even bring this to the fold? It's gonna look sketchy on my part. Perception is everything. It's gonna look weird as fuck. It's gonna look like I'm trying to usurp the throne anyways. I want to protect my children. I want to protect my my little kids. I'm gonna just bring them with me. Now, I mean, I'm not a mother, but as far as Aegon's concerned, that nigga on his own, bro. I'm taking the 2 little kids with me, and calling it a day.
But I'm glad you said that, because even when Alicent goes and tells Otto about the king being dead, and then this was his last wish and blah, 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 she's like, he said it to me. No one else was there. And I'm glad that was kind of addressed, because it's like, I only know this to be true. No one else is going to argue with her about it in a way. And I liked how it was constantly kind of called out, even by Lord Beesbury, saying the fact that I knew Viserys longer than anyone here, because he was 70, 74, 76 years old. He knew Viserys. He knew that he wouldn't have done the thing that Alicent is claiming that he did by saying, let's put Aegon on the throne. And I forgot my point with this. Oh, with even Aegon on their way to the coronation, he's still in disbelief that his father would have even said that about him.
Yeah.
Because he was more concerned about whether or not his father even liked him, loved him. So why in the world would his father name him heir to the throne? You see what I'm saying? So it obviously is very questionable about what Alicent was saying and how believable it could be, because it could just be anybody saying anything at this point. And the fact that the king is dead, he can't defend himself, and no one else was there present to either agree or disagree. So it's no different than like with Rhaenyra. No one can prove that her children are bastards. You can look at them and then you can just assume yes, but no one can actually prove it. Same rule applies with Alicent and Viserys' last words. No one can prove it other than.
And it's not like Viserys has a history of like naming somebody as heir without sufficient reason to do so. Like he doesn't have the best track record of naming heirs. Like all 3 have been not good decisions for different reasons. So yeah, I get it. And another thing, like this dude was gone off that narcotic. Like I don't even know why you would. If that's the biggest issue I have with Alicent, is like I understand you heard what you heard. Maybe you wanted to hear that. Like you have been begging him to like do this for so many years, but like as smart as Alicent is, like, hey man, he is gone off that narcotic, man. Anything he says should be taken with a grain of salt, especially right before he passes. But that speaks more to me. It speaks more to like the time period where stuff like prophecies and dying wishes and stuff like that was more prevalent and just held more weight. Like that would not hold weight in today's society. That would not stand up in the court of law. Like this man was off like 8 tablespoons of milk of the poppy. It's like he was pretty much gone. Like, you know, everything affecting his brain and stuff like that. Like we can't take anything he's saying seriously. But
Yep.
yeah, I really wish, like I was watching last night, just kind of hoping in the week before, hoping, knowing that it wasn't gonna go like this, hoping that Alicent would be like, you know what, Rhaenyra probably is Rhaenyra being queen probably is gonna be detrimental to the realm, but for the sake of my family, we need to get the fuck up out of here. Just in general, I was hoping that would happen, knowing that it was absolutely not gonna happen, but.
But you know what?
Yeah,
But
hoping.
you know what too though? It just came to me when you was talking, Tristan. I don't think Otto would have let her. To be honest, I think Otto would have done everything in his power to keep her there and along with the kids. This is still Otto's story. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, Olivia Cooke's doing a great job, but the guy who plays Otto is doing an even more massive job. You can tell but everything he's laying the groundwork behind the scenes, even unbeknownst to his daughter. So even if she wanted to leave, I don't think Otto lets her. I really don't. I really believe that.
I mean, when you play the Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man, you're at the top of the heap. You're the
Oh
best
my
of the
God.
best. No, Rhys Ifans is awesome. But no, honestly, I think what all of us would do if we were Alicent, or what we should do, the first thing, just get rid of Otto. New hand to the king. No, seriously. I'm not saying kill the guy. I don't think she would
Oh, I
mind.
interpreted that as death.
No, but I mean, like, get a new hand to the king.
That's
Why
not
not?
gonna happen.
Why not start there? You know, like get rid of your GM. You know, whoever,
That's
start
not gonna
over.
happen.
But
Listen, this
who
this
your-
isn't like the Texans with their vice president of
but who your
operations here.
But at this point, who are your options though?
I don't know. There's probably like 17 Aegons out there that are better than him. Somebody named Aegon.
Yeah,
Speaking
but
of Aegon, let's move on. Aegon is missing, and Otto is going to send. Oh God, he's sending the Cargill twins, Sir Eric and Sir Arik with an A. Eric with an E, Arik with an A. He's sending them to find Aegon and bring Aegon back to him. Meanwhile, Alicent she went to her trusted protector, Kristen Cole, and he's got Aemon with him, and they're going to find they're looking for Aegon and the streets of Silk. I did love
Another show creation, the team ups. That was also not in the book.
also okay.
Mhm.
Very cool. I like how Aemon is telling Kristen Cole the story of how on his 13th name day, Aegon took Aemon to the Street of Silk, and he was explaining to him why, and he said it's time to get it wet. I don't know. I thought that was funny. There's comedy in this show. I mean, come on, like when they come in there and they're looking for Aegon and Helena's in there and they're like, "Where's Aegon?" She's like, "Not here." You know, like clearly, like he's not in here. Anyway, I like the comedy. What did y'all think about the two teams like looking to find Aegon, the race to find the future king?
Very amazing race like.
Yeah, that's what I was
With
thinking.
just walking all throughout King's Landing and to Flea Bottom to to go to a once frequented brothel and to just understand more of how or who Aegon really is. Okay, he goes to brothels, he goes to this like child rat pit, if you will, where
Where his
these children
bastards are fighting. What the fuck?
right, yeah, right. So like their teeth are filed down, they grow out their nails, and they're
Kid
just
Fight Club. Yep.
rare, each other. And then you see off to the side a child that has the same Targaryen hair. And I don't know. I'm guessing. I think Tristan.
Brittany,
you've
you
talked-
know.
I know.
Brittany.
But okay, but Tristan and I talked about this. Is this Gaiman pale hair? Tristan,
What?
I'm asking you.
Okay. What? Good.
I don't know, because the way they spoke about it. Like, there's a bunch of them, and in the books, I'm not sure, totally remember, but they don't intimate that he has like a lot of bastards.
Right.
It's like
Right.
a few,
Just a
mostly
few.
one, just really one
than
that they really
5.
focus on. So I have no idea. I think it's like one of those nods to the showrunners, and if we do see something like that, then we'll see it play out next week.
Right.
Especially, I don't think we're seeing any of the High Towers next week.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll see in season 2. I don't know.
Right. So going back to the search for Aegon, you're learning more of who he is. He's hungry for violence. He likes to fuck. He obviously has fathered at least one bastard child, and he says it himself once they find him. He has no desire to be king. He's not suited for it. He doesn't want it. Whereas his brother Aemond confesses to Sir Criston about, he's the one who's studied the histories and philosophies, etc. He's the one who has taken the sword training, and he's the one who's done all this, and he's the one that should be. He doesn't finish the sentence because I think it borders treasonous words. Aemon thinks he should be king, not Aegon.
I think you already committed treason by saying by giving the list of why he's better than his brother, though.
Well,
That's
doesn't he
fair.
also say at one point that he's next in line? But is that even true?
Yes. Oh, well, no, because
No, it's
Aegon
not.
has
Yeah,
children.
yeah.
They have
Yeah.
twins. So Aegon and Helena have their twins, Jaehaerys and Jaehaera.
Oh, I'm glad they differentiated with that. Wow, that's good because they don't sound the same. God, these people with their names. Come on, be creative. Like,
No,
find a king.
prophecies.
Find a king that everybody likes, and then name your child after them.
That's true. I want to share something real quick from the chat. Amber here says, I lost it when Cole said all women are visions of the mother and should be respected when he called Rhaenyra a cunt. Like, bro, yes, I was infuriated by that as well because, he's saying all women should be spoken with the same sort of reverence. And then episodes prior, he refers to Rhaenyra as a spoiled cunt. Like, dude.
Let me shoot Chris and Cole some bail.
Oh.
Remember that was 6 years ago. And
yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
As Alicent has kind of taken on this really pietous role after snapping on Rhaenyra, I'm sure she's like taught her guard dog for all intents and purposes, and kind of like redoctrinated him on like this really lame ass I don't know real like ideology that mirrors hers. Like she's become a lot more devout, a lot more conservative. You can see that in the way like
he's obsessed with her. Let's just face it.
He's in love with her.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I was gonna bring this up once we got to like the one of the big shockers of this episode, but Alicent knows how to play each one of the men in her life. Each one, like she knows how much to give up to each one to varying degrees.
Right,
obviously.
Just show your feet, right? Some dudes just want to see your feet.
But with Criston, she appeals to like his white knight, like his love for the white knight, like archetype. And she says like, "Hey, the love you have for me as a queen, like that." She friend zone him, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's enough for him. He loves that shit. So I'm sure.
Is that enough for him though?
He loves that shit. He says.
I don't know if it's enough for him. I think he's fine for now.
I think it's enough for him. I think it's enough for him. Again, this is a dude that was like, you saw how the fuck he was acting after he got one piece of ass. Like, that wasn't even the queen. So again, I hope Alicent's getting her back broken in, but like, I don't think that's happening.
I'm semi-surprised that now she's widowed, he hasn't like said, "Come run away with me." She's fair game, right?
Yeah.
She's now the dowager.
Like the Essos like travel brochure. He's like, look at this. Like,
he's like, by the way, I've been holding on to this for some 15 years. Here you go. Oh God. Yeah, that Criston Cole, fuck that guy. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, so they're looking for Aegon. We'll get back to that in a second. But while that's happening, Otto is talking to the other houses. He's basically saying, "Hey, Viserys amended his wishes. It's as simple as that." And he's basically asking them to bend the knee. There's a few holdouts, and one of them for a while is is it Caswell or Coswell? Coswell?
Tomato,
Caswell?
tomato.
Tomato. Okay. Anyway, so he resists bending the knee. Go for it.
Alan with a U. That's what I call him.
Okay, Alan with you. Okay, yeah, there we go.
It is Alan with you. You're right.
So he resists for a while, but then he ends up bending the knee, and he's like, "Long live the king!" As he bends the knee. Then we see, like in the next scene, he's trying to leave so he can potentially, warn Rhaenyra of what's going on. But Larys Strong noticed him and ratted him out to Otto. And later on in the episode, we see him hanging in the I don't know what room is that. It's got a name, that room, because that's where
It eventually
map
becomes
was,
like the
yeah.
map room
Yeah.
when the Lannisters are in power. But yeah, we see him hanging from there, which I don't remember right off. It certainly didn't happen in this timeline that we see with the show. I don't remember rather what happens to Lord Coswell at this point. If I'm sure he actually is a Rhaenyra loyalist. Is that correct, Tristan? Because I just don't remember off the top of my head. Okay,
Yeah,
so
he's the one that welcomed Daemon and Rhaenyra the episode previously when nobody
right.
came to King's Landing. Yeah.
Right. And prior to that, when she gave birth to Joffrey and is walking with Laenor to the queen with the child, and he's like, "Oh, let me be the first to congratulate you." And then she makes a remark about how she would call on him for his services or something of that nature. So yeah, he's a Rhaenyra loyalist, and it goes without saying he was intending to go to Dragonstone to forewarn her and got busted, and now he's dead.
Exactly. So then we see Alicent. She's meeting with Rhaenys. Of course, Rhaenys is locked up in a room, and this
Another
is a
show
great
creation.
Okay, this is a great scene that obviously, kind of portends to what happens at the very end of the episode. But Rhaenys right away figures out that, oh, y'all are usurping the throne, and then Alicent tries to make a deal with her basically, and then Rhaenys hits her with the line of, have you never imagined yourself on the Iron Throne? And yeah, I mean those two actresses together, that's a powerful scene. Frank, what'd you think about that interaction and what it ended up leading to in the end?
I saw as a veteran player trying to give a young second, third year pro some game about how this is going to turn out. Like this realm is ran by men. Everything that these women do,
Yeah.
they do in the spirit of male leadership in the Seven Kingdoms. And she's trying to shoot you some game. Like, hey, you're doing this for the affection of your father, for the misogynistic nature of the Seven Kingdoms. Have you ever thought about power for yourself and think of yourself, I think Allison's lucky that she had that conversation, and I'm glad Allison didn't threaten Rhaenys, because I think if she threatened Rhaenys in that notion in that room, the end of the episode ends completely different. But it was a powerful scene, powerful dialogue, and Rhaenys is gonna be a big time player for here on out, and I love it because I don't remember much of Rhaenys at this point of Fire and Blood. So for the show to go this different direction, is something I can't wait to see what's going to unfold.
I agree, especially with the inside the episode that follows this episode, where Ryan Condal basically said that we needed to give or add some meat on Rhaenys' bones and not just have her kind of be like a sideline type character, like to actually put her in the forefront. Because you're right, she will play a role in the Dance of the Dragons, and it's going to be an epic role without really needing to say it. But I really loved how we got to see her more so in this episode. Eve Best does a phenomenal job playing the Princess Rhaenys, and I am very much looking forward to see her continuation with the Blacks come the final episode.
I just wonder if she's going to be on Team Black for the long haul. I don't think so. Go ahead, Tristan.
she'll be on Team Black for the long haul. I love my favorite scene of the entire episode. My two favorite characters, Alicent and Rhaenys, by far my two favorite characters. I love, first of all, Rhaenys, baby. Talk about the patriarchy. Like, come on, love. You had a chance to step up. I know your husband's still alive. You had a chance to step up and at least rule in his stead while he was like mortally wounded, and chose against that. Like all of these women, and the thing is, like they chide each other for being a part of the patriarchy, but they all like exist within and operate within that patriarchy, especially for their own self-interest. Rhaenys is no different. So what I thought about that scene, I thought Alicent gained Rhaenys' respect, and I think Rhaenys says it. She was like, "Yeah, you're smarter at this than I thought you would be.
Yeah.
Like you're much more adept at this than I thought it would be." And then you compare it to how she, or contrast that to how she responded to Rhaenyra when Rhaenyra came to her alone, and Rhaenys could smell the desperation, and she wanted to like use that desperation to get one more dig in on Rhaenyra, just to kind of bring her down a peg. And Eve Best has kind of said that in interviews, like Rhaenys absolutely wants to bring Rhaenyra down a peg. It is unfortunate because Alicent and Rhaenys, I think, would have much more in common if the circumstances were different. Like they obviously love their children. Neither one of them just have like this burning desire to like rule. Like Rhaenys didn't have a burning desire. She thought it should have happened, right? And it not happening is an affront on her and all other capable women. But I think her and Alicent would have a lot more in common if the situation was different. And that's what we kind of see, like the last vestiges of a potential relationship between those two women is over because of the circumstances. Like Alicent's coming in her room after it's been locked. She's been kind of barred shut, and it is really difficult to explain the significance of the situation of Rhaenys after she's been locked up in her room and stuff. So my favorite episode, my favorite scene, two favorite characters. Rhaenys, every time she's on screen, like she just drops bars and wisdom. Like she's seen it all. You know, she's seen it all from a Targaryen standpoint. She's seen it all from an outside the Targaryen standpoint. She has existed outside of the Targaryen bubble as much as any Targaryen kid. Like her mother was a Baratheon. She spent the majority of her life being married away from the Red Keep for the most part, ruling or co-ruling this another rich ass house. So she's been able to see so many things from so many different perspectives. And Alicent would be wise to like take note and listen. Obviously, like they can't be on the same side, but like Rhaenys has a lot of wisdom to share, and I wish Alicent and Rhaenyra, I wish the circumstance was different so they can like take heed to that wisdom. But I digress.
And you know, with Rhaenys also in this episode, she's an active dragon rider, which I wasn't sure that she was. So that was cool to see that. And of course, you know, at the very end, she comes bursting up through the bottom of the dragon pit with her dragon Melis, right?
The beast is beneath the boards.
Yep. As Helena said earlier in the episode, they should start listening to what she's saying. I know she sounds like kind of crazy, but it's like all of her comments end up meaning something, you know, down the road or right there.
She was a third of the second time she said it. She's like, "Hey, the beast is beneath the fucking board. Like,
yeah,
look down, man."
Yeah.
Or it could be, I mean, it's below your feet, which is my poor attempt of
transition to Larys.
Not my favorite subject at all, but why? Okay,
yeah,
this was for sure a show creation, but why did we need to see this?
Because it's HBO and they've got to do this every. It's Game of Thrones. God. So we find out that our guy Larys has a foot fetish. And you know, I guess it's like, you know, it makes sense. Like he's got a messed up foot, so like he likes good feet. I guess. Like, trying to explain it. I when this scene was first happening, and he's telling Alicent that hey, there's this web of spies in the Red Keep, and Otto knows about it. And then she's like slowly like she takes off her shoes, she puts her feet up on the little table thing. She has socks on. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like I didn't catch on to it until he puts his hand in his pants and she like turns her head, because I was not expecting that. Like, they did not. It took me a while to go, oh, okay, that's what's going on here. I didn't get it. So, and then later on, you see how kind of disgusted she is. Obviously, this has happened many times. This is their trade off. He trades information for, chance to look at her feet, I guess. Brittany, what'd you think about? Tristan, go ahead.
So I have to go back. The first time we see them eat dinner together in Alicent's room, she takes her shoes off.
Yep.
So let me tell you when let me tell you when it caught on for me. So coming in, she comes in, Larys is already there. Alicent kind of gives that look like she wasn't shocked, she wasn't scared, she was like, oh fuck. So it's kind of like that, okay, this shit again. They show a close up of Larys's feet as he's sitting down, like the club foot. He's sitting down. She's taking off her stuff, like you said, Justin. Takes off the sock. When she takes off the sock, and they go immediately to Larys, and he's kind of looking, and he's kind of like you could see like in his eyes.
Yeah.
I looked over to my wife, Christine. I was like, "Does this motherfucker have a foot fetish?" I said it at that moment. She was like, I don't know. And I just turned around like, okay, let's keep watching. That I won't say it hit me fast, but I could tell something was weird. And then the way that she was just kind of looking, and once he drops his hand in his stomach and starts going back and forth, was like, okay, this is something that happens pretty regularly, I would imagine.
Brittany looked disgusted. Frank, go ahead.
This is when I called it. So Game of Thrones, House of Dragon, no scene is wasted. So when he sits down, and like you said, Justin, you see the club foot. The minute she took her shoes off, that first shoe off, I was like, I thought he's gonna fuck her feet. That's what I initially thought, because I was like, he has a foot fetish. Because like, why would you show the queen taking off her shoes? And I was like, so when the first shoe came off, I was like, somebody go down. And then when the sock came off, I was like, he about to fuck her feet. So I was already there. And then like the minute that she looked away and he started touching him, so I was like, okay, he's just gonna jack off to like looking at her feet. Okay, it's not as weird as I thought it was gonna be, but but the last 5 weeks, I knew she was exchanging something. I didn't think they were having sex, but I thought it was something very, very decrepit going on between them two. I was just waiting for it to come out. I was a notch above. It was her
Yeah.
looking looking at his feet, but
So you're saying it should have gone further? Like you would have preferred?
no. I didn't want to go further, but I
Okay.
assumed that he was gonna fuck her feet. And I was like, how are they gonna be able to show this on camera? But
Yeah, maybe
wow.
season 2 is like NC-17. Who knows? Like we can wish, right? We can wish. Now, Brittany, you look pretty disturbed. What do you want to say?
For all the incest that we've seen in Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, I draw the line at feet. Okay, I do not like feet. I do not like bare feet. I do not like bare feet touching my feet. I do not like feet. So to see this unfold on an HBO show was horribly disturbing. I threw up in my mouth a little, probably. And seeing the reactions of everyone else on social media, I'm glad I wasn't alone in feeling like this, because my God. Of course, everyone's talking about Queen Alicent's got her own OnlyFans to deal with feet. Like, cool. Like, you do what you got to do. I'm sure you need to stock some money, when shit goes sideways. I get it. Okay.
That's good.
It makes sense. I'm not dissuading that. I'm just, sorry.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
So that's where you draw the line. So Craster fucking his daughters, cool. Jamie fucking Cersei. All right, I get with that.
We never saw. In fairness, we never saw their feet.
That's true. But the feet is where you draw the line. Bet.
The feet is where we draw the line. I don't give a shit what people do in their personal lives. I do not need to see it necessarily. I definitely do not need to see people's feet. Okay? And people in the comments seem to agree with me too. Yes, Drew's with me. Yuck. Yuck. That's all we need to say. He said he's glad he could fast forward on his iPad.
You know what? I'm not a feet guy either, but I like the shock of it. It's like it was a shocking, like Game of Thrones kind of moment. Like only Game of Thrones would do this. So, like in that sense, I thought it was a good addition to the show. So,
I mean, I like a pair of pretty feet. Like I'm not masturbating to like some pretty feet, but I don't mind some, a nice set of, I don't mind. That's weird, but
we're not trying to, we're not trying to kink shame. Like we don't want to yuck anybody's yum. Like go for it, whatever you like.
Jesus.
But
where would you go as a crippled man who enjoys like like some nice tires, man? Like I don't understand.
But think about it.
Nice tires.
But think about it. This coming from the queen. I mean,
I know he got the queen's feet.
Who's in whose pocket at this point? Really? Like who's really ruling whom? It's just so mind-boggling to me, and it's just gross.
I just find it weird that Alicent didn't have any other avenues of acquiring information than with this nigga. That's like, you are the queen. Like there are spies all over. You could have went through Pops to find you an informant. You had to go, like this is like your final resolution. Come on, man. You're the queen. I'm sure there's other spies out here that you could have bought off.
But she's the queen who has no interest in like getting deep into the mud. Like the only reason she got deep in the mud with Larys is like by accident, honestly. She's not actively seeking. She didn't even know fucking Talia. Like her own handmaiden is a informant. Like she didn't even know that. She's hyper focused on like what am I supposed to, like what is supposed to be done, and that's it. She doesn't really stray past that. So I think it just like how you just get involved with somebody, and you look up and it's like
feet
all
fucking,
the boundaries.
yeah, I get it. Yeah,
Not feet
I
fucking,
get it.
but like so many of the boundaries have been pushing. Like how the fuck did we get here? You know what I'm saying? Like this started as like this innocent thing. So
not gonna lie to you, I've never got to this situation in my life.
I hope
and I pray you don't.
Yeah,
I pray you
never
don't
find yourself in that situation.
Jesus.
I'm just saying, based on her look, how disgusted she was, I would have like went another route to acquire. Like she looked visibly uncomfortable. Like it looked like she was being raped.
We all were, okay.
Yeah. So like I felt like in exchange for that uncomfortableness, I would have like used my resources elsewhere that was less degrading. That's all I'm saying. Because for somebody who I don't really fuck with Alicent, I felt bad for her in that moment. I really felt bad for her, dog. She looked so visibly uncomfortable and just like exposed.
But you know what makes me curious? Because when Larys Strong is in the same room as Otto, and Otto addresses, "Oh, you've been spending a lot of time with the queen as of late,"
right.
And Larys says something along the lines of, "Well, that it shouldn't stop from benefiting you, basically." And I'm thinking, is he gonna do the same thing to Otto?
No, I think Otto wants to watch Larys beat off to his daughter's feet.
All right, we're moving along. We're done with the subject. I call it here and now. Nope, we're moving we're moving away from this.
I just feel bad. Like you have a son that's a rapist and a sexual deviant. You have an advisor that wants to jack up to your feet. Like you have a son, you have a one-eyed son who's about to be the worst first, like Targaryen serial killer with second word next to Maegor. Like she's just surrounded by weird men. It's like I feel bad for her, though. I really do now.
I do too. Drew feels bad for me, so let's move this along, okay? Like we're gonna move away from the feet subject.
Yeah, we will. And those sirens are on my end, so Brittany, talk for a second.
So what I'd like to talk about next is the fight between Sir Criston Cole, Sir Arik, and Aegon and Aemond after Aegon has been found inside the Septa Baylor, and before we really get into that, we see the return of the White Worm. Now, I need to correct myself. Last episode, I said White Rat. White Rat was actually a name of one of the Unsullied from Game of Thrones. I got confused. My bad. But the White Worm is the Lady Misery, or Lady, what's her name? Missaria, or
Sorry.
the woman with the terrible accent.
Right.
And she
so
has
bad. The worst thing about
it's
this
so
show,
bad.
she's
It-
got to lose the accent, or
It's
maybe
really bad.
maybe the character loses the ability to speak. Fingers crossed.
So as the twins are searching Flea Bottom for Prince Aegon, they're approached by one of Lady Misery's associates who says, if you come with me or you bring the Lord Hand, my mistress will speak to him and then give the whereabouts of Prince Aegon. And so her meeting with the Hand proves to be of some value because she, one, knows where the prince is. He's tucked away, literally quite tucked away. But she also tells the Lord Hand, like, I want this brutality against the children to cease. It's not good. You need to remember this. You need to remember it is me who helped you, blah, blah, blah. Now, whether that's going to come into any fruition or not, I don't know. However, the twins do find the prince tucked away inside the Septa Baylor, but they're followed by Sir Criston and Prince Aemond. And then like this little fight ensues because Sir Eric with an E is Prince Aegon's sworn protector. Okay. So he brings his twin, Sir Auric, with an A to help get him. But it's actually Sir Auric who is fighting with the prince to take him back to his grandfather because that was their directive. And Sir Eric kind of stands back and he's just kind of letting things unfold because he knows the prince. He knows his depravities and just the kind of person that he is. And then to know that he's going to ascend the Iron Throne he's not okay with it. But once again, they're followed by Sir Criston and Prince Aemond. This fight ensues and Sir Eric is like, I'm just going to stay out of this.
So I'm confused on this. 'Cause I've only watched the episode once. Was Aegon kidnapped or did Aegon run away?
I think Aegon, yeah, he just wants to be left alone.
So
No, but I think he was taken in by the White Worm's people, right? We're made to believe that.
I think to be kept hidden.
Right.
Right.
So he runs
but
away.
not that he was kidnapped by them
Okay.
necessarily.
So he runs away for the night. He goes to these brothels, has fun. He seeks refuge from Massaria, and then Massaria hides him away inside.
Sounds like it.
Okay. Because I was so confused on that because I wasn't really clear on that. But shout out to Massaria being like a Mother Teresa to like want to save the children. That came out of nowhere for me. I didn't remember that in the books. That was totally out of left field. But yeah, go ahead, Brittany.
Yeah, I think that's another show creation to make her a little bit more. She's got more substance to her than just having information and wanting to be bought on the information that she has. I think it's just giving her a little bit more of a purpose. However, with the fight that ensues between Aegon first with Auric, and then Sir Criston with Sir Auric, and then Sir Eric hanging back. And then what I found really compelling was the sibling rivalry between Aemond and Aegon, and how Aegon is just saying, I have no desire. I'm not fit for it. I blah, blah, blah. And Aemon's like, well, you're not going to hear any pity from me. Like, I'm not going to,
no argument for me.
No argument for me whatsoever.
Yeah.
Exactly. And even Aegon pleads to his brother, like, let's find a ship and just sail away and no one will ever hear from us ever again. And Aemon looks like he hesitated a little bit. I don't know. What did y'all think?
Oh yeah, he did. Because in my mind, he's like, well, shit, man, I can definitely arrange that. We can definitely make this a laner to Essos Part 2. But I could have sworn the books that were close. Like Aemon truly loved his brother in the books, if I remember correctly, especially in the words that came. Or am I misremembering the book?
I think there's a closeness. I think it's kind of a strange closeness. It's not on the same level of, let's say, how Jace and Luke
Are
love each other. You know, that's more brotherly, and it comes from like a good place. I think with Aemon, it's like if I stick close, then I'm gonna get something out of this. I don't know. I could be wrong. Tristan, what do you think about this whole interaction between the princes?
It's funny because there's no reason to think that they hate each other in the book, but there's not a lot of reason to think like you said, there's not a Luke and Jace type bond with them. So what I thought about it, it's also funny. I don't think Aemon is really in the book. He's not that ho hum like being a king either. Like I think he
not.
wants, yeah, he's all for like action. Like that's the thing with Aemon. In the book, in the show, like he is all about action. From the time he's a kid or until his death, like he's about action. So
Because in other wars, he gladly fights by side of Aegon. Like he gladly does it. Like it's not like,
gladly.
oh man, fuck this nigga, man. I want to be king. Like he's like he's in the mix.
He's like, send me. He's like, hey, something's happening, send me. I'll go.
Yep.
Like, and that's him the entire time. So I don't know if it's a closeness to Aegon or is this a closeness to conflict. And Aegon and just the wars that are happening, battles that are happening are just a vehicle for that. But it is funny, like the show has made him much more focused on like ruling than he ever is in the book. Because I don't even know he mentions ruling a single time or is mentioned in the book. So again, like you said, Brittany, like the show, this whole episode is the show taking these little bits and pieces from the book and it's like making literary gold with it. And I think it's funny. So I do like it because the entirety of that whole plot line where they're trying to find Aegon in like different factions is to let you know that even within the Team Green, Team Black, there are different factions. And I don't think it would be as exciting if like Team Green and Team Black was just, hey, we're all on the same page, we're all on the same accord. And what you get to see, y'all mentioned it, like we're finding out about who Aegon is, and we're finding out even more why he's unfit to rule, why he shouldn't be in this position. And it's like the scavenger hunt. And each clue lets us know how trash of a person he is. And I think Aemon, this hits him different because again, from what he's saying, at least in the show version, is that, hey, I've done all the preparation. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we doing all this when I'm the fighter, I'm the one who is not as, I don't get into all the same depravities that he gets into. Like, I'm not going to disgrace our family. Like, if anything, I'm going to give our family more strength. Again, complete show creation, but I do like that it adds that extra layer of conflict between this particular faction of the Civil War that's coming.
I do think too, once we get a Darren appearance, because I think Darren is he's probably with the High Towers right now as a cupbearer or doing whatever. And I think once he gets into the fold, we'll see the connection with all three brothers because I think Darren was more loved than the other two brothers per se from the people. So I think once you get all three in the same room in the same scene, we get a better idea of like the brotherly connection or lack thereof.
Who is this for people who don't know?
Darren is the baby brother in all of this. He is the fourth child of Viserys and Alicent.
Yeah, so in the books at this time, he's
like serving as a squire or something to
Otto's older brother.
Right.
But have they ever even referenced on the show? Is he even in the show?
Not yet. No, not yet. He's supposed to be in season 2, but during this time, he's squiring for Otto's older brother in Hightower. But yeah, he hasn't been mentioned just yet. But he's like out of the 4 kids, he's the one that's revered and loved among the realm, the baby brother. But I think we'll get a better idea of like the brotherly connection, like thereof, once he's in the fold, with Aegon and Aemon.
For sure. For sure. And I do want to just to kind of quickly go back to the Cargill twins, that there's definitely an alliance that's going to divide them. Sir Eric, who was once the sworn protector to Prince Aegon, clearly is helping the Princess Rhaenys escape the Dread Keep. She's trying to, get to her dragon, Melis, I think is her name. So basically, Sir Eric is going to jump ship, leave King's Landing, go to Dragonstone, pledge his allegiance to Princess Rhaenyra, and Sir Auric is going to continue with the King's Guard and pledge his fealty to now King Aemon.
I totally missed that.
The second.
I totally missed that. I couldn't tell who was helping Rhaenys.
I know.
I couldn't see the face.
If it wasn't for, because I watch these episodes with subtitles just because sometimes the accents are just a little too difficult for me to understand. But in different instances, especially when Sir Eric was coming to get the Princess Rhaenys, the subtitle said Eric, and then move away or whatever he says before he enters into the room. So yes, gotcha. that is true. I thought maybe for whatever reason the show flipped the characters around, but then I went back to rewatch the episode and reread the book or the passages, and I'm like, oh no, I'm wrong. So no, that's what it is. So Sir Eric with an E is with the blacks. Sir Auric with an A is with the greens.
It's crazy. I mean, I know this is like medieval times. There's no cell phone. There's no internet. It's crazy how all this is going on within the 48-hour time block, and Rhaenyra and the gang and all the dragons. I have no idea what's going on. For as much as they know, Viserys is still alive. But now, I mean, in the last 48 hours, Viserys is dead. Aegon's been declared. There's been a search party for Aegon, all within a 48-hour time span. Rhaenys is held prisoner. She escapes on Dragonback. Like all this is going on, and Team Black has no idea. That's what's wild to me.
It's not going to take long for Princess Rhaenys to fly to Dragonstone. I mean, on a dragon, it's a hop, skip, jump away, and then all hell is going to break loose. Like I posted yesterday on our Facebook page. If you haven't already done so, go follow the Watchers in the Basement on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I put there that we're officially in the timeline for Dance of the Dragons. So it's a course of 2 years. Supposedly we're going to get a total of 4 seasons, 10 episodes apiece in order to tell the story correctly. That's according to the author, George R. R. Martin. I'm here for it. I'm so ready for it. I just can't believe next week is the finale.
So I have a question for the group. So in the show, different from the books, they send out 2 different search parties. Otto sends out the Sir Eric and Sir Auric. Alicent sends out Kristen, and Aemon comes along. In your opinion, did y'all think it was a bit counterproductive of having 2 different search parties searching for the same person to bring him back? Because in my opinion, I think it doesn't make a difference because they're gonna find him regardless. But like I know Otto had a certain directions that he wanted for his grandson. Alicent had certain directions that he wanted for her son. But at the end of the day, there's still gonna be a war. They're still gonna have it's still gonna be a war. I didn't think I thought that was kind of productive in a way.
I disagree, just because you consider the people that are searching for Aegon. You've got on one side Sir Criston, the sworn protector to the Queen, his younger brother who knows his brother, and they're told to bring Aegon back to the Queen so that she can influence him first, right? And then on the other side, you've got the twins that are Kingsguard, directed by the hand of the king to bring him back to him so that he can influence them. So you can see, even though that quote unquote Otto and Alicent are on the same team, you see how they're working against each other, right? And I think that was important to show just how they're broken even amongst each other. I think that the 2 teams was important to showcase that supposedly they're all on the same team, but they're really not. Everyone's got their own agenda, and you learn more so what Otto does in order to get information. He pays off the White Worm for her intel, and then it's actually in the book, it's Sir Criston who finds Prince Aegon in Flea Bottom and basically is convincing him, hey, you need to take up the throne before Rhaenyra does, because Rhaenyra is going to come and kill you and everyone else in your family.
But
So I think.
but
Go
that's my
ahead.
next point. But that's my next point though. Once Otto or whoever tells Aegon, hey, your life's in danger because now that you took the throne or you took the throne, depending on who you're asking, he's gonna have to go out and kill Rhaenyra anyways. So I didn't that kind of threw me off because I feel like one way or the other you're gonna have to kill Rhaenyra because that's in her mind that's her throne.
Well, true, but I think the significance is understanding the influence that his mother had over what would have been his grandfather. How she wanted to kind of take a more sympathetic approach to it, and let's go ahead and ascend you, and we'll have Rhaenyra come. We'll send a raven to Rhaenyra with terms to bend the knee. Blah blah blah. She's trying to be a little bit more diplomatic about it, whereas Otto was already going to be ruthless and say, hey, we're going to go ahead and just kill her and not worry about this. You have to consider who's turning Aegon's head, right? If he's under the influence of his mother, he could be maybe a little bit more compassionate king. However, if it's Otto that's whispering in his ear, we're going to get the king that we're going to get. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
I
Tristan,
think
what are your thoughts?
think Cersei and Tywin, and Cersei's fear that Tywin would wrap his clutches around Tommen and
But didn't Cersei
influence
do the
him.
same
And
thing though?
you said what?
But didn't
Yeah,
Cersei
but
do the same thing?
she wanted to influence him the way she wanted to influence him, and that's what it is, and it's the same thing here. Alicent and Alicent and Otto both explicitly tell the people who on their party, their search party, nobody else can know about this. Otto says, hey, not even the queen. Alicent says, hey, not even my lord father. Like it's very important. Again, it shows like not just like the conflict between the faction, but this is a hastily thrown together plot, and there's so many different moving parts. Alicent, like Brittany said, is trying to handle this in a diplomatic way because she knows that her late husband would not want her and his hand of the king to plot on the murder of his daughter and brother slash son-in-law. Like so like he definitely she definitely knows that, right? And so Otto he's completely with the shit. So whoever finds Aegon first controls at least in their mind. Like for us, we know that none of this shit fucking matters.
That's the key word in their mind. Okay. All right.
Yeah, in their mind, they're like, hey, if we can handle it this way, this will proceed with the least amount of bloodshed.
Yeah, I think influence and understanding the people who work for these influences is important for now. I mean, because we have to build that story, right? We have to build that foundation of who's a part of everything at this point, and then for now, it seems important, but in the end, it kind of doesn't, I guess. But yeah,
Exactly. Hey, I want to ask you about the white worm and her establishment. Is that what we see burning after?
yes.
Okay, so we're made to believe that. So Larys rats out Talia to
The queen.
Alicent, and he says that she's a part of this web of spies or whatever. So, and there's a scene where Talia and some of the servants are sent down to like I guess they're being put in prison or whatever because they obviously know about the king's death. This is before anyone else knows about the king's death.
Yep.
But then later on, like I said, Talia or Larys says, "Hey, I can put it into this web of spiders that that your father knows about, but he's not doing anything about it. In fact, he's benefiting from it. So is it just some random henchman that burns it down, or do we know who that is? And do we think the white worm is dead? What do y'all think?
I definitely think it's a follower of Larys Strong, his little bees, if you will. I think it's one of them. And I definitely do not believe she's dead. Knowing the story, knowing her role in it, I don't think she's dead.
Frank, what do you think?
What say you both?
She's not dead.
She's so not dead. No, I mean, I think the attempt was more as a threat to burn down her establishment. I think it was more of a threat than like the actual try to take out the game.
Okay. Tristan, do you have anything to add about that?
She's not dead. We can end this now.
Okay, sounds good.
Tristan
Put
has
in the-
spoken. She's not dead.
in the speculation. There's a lot more of that horrible ass accent to come, bro. God,
that is so
the
true.
worst accent.
That's so true.
Is the accent bad in the book also? Kidding. That's a joke.
That
a
is
joke, yeah.
That accent is worse than the second or third Littlefinger accent. Like,
Oh, that's right, because it
He
did
changed
evolve.
it. Yeah.
It did evolve. That
He's
was
working on
pretty
some
bad.
stuff. Yeah.
She's from Lys, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Someone else,
remember.
someone else is from Lys as well. Was it Robert's wife?
No, she's from Volantis.
Volantis.
No, was
Lys.
it Tyrion's paramour? The whore?
Oh,
Was she from
I
Lys?
can see your
Shay.
face.
Shay, yeah.
Was she
She
from
didn't-
Lys?
She didn't quite have that accent though.
She had a bad accent too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's, I think, originally the actress is German. This one, it sounds like I said originally a real bastardized like French accent. I think it's now like more Caribbean sounding. I hear certain words and like a high low kind of pitch, and it's just not good.
It's not. So the last thing I want to talk about was the scene with Alicent and Otto when she confronts him and she basically says, "Hey, you've been using me this whole time. I'm just a piece on the board that you're moving around." And then he's telling her like, you're just not willing to make the sacrifice. And she's saying, "Hey, like reluctance to murder is not a weakness." She tells him, "Look, I have Aegon now. We'll proceed as I see fit." Then she says, "Hey, we're going to send terms to Rhaenyra. By the way, Kristen Cole's the new Lord Commander of the Kingsguard." And his only response is, "You look so much like your mother in certain lights." I'm just like,
And then she rolls her eyes and walks away. I'm like, yes.
what a weird interaction that was.
It was weird. I think he said it before after she had cut Rhaenyra on Driftmark that he never thought or he never believed that side of her existed within her, and now that he knows it's there, he thinks, hey, we can work with that, we can do great things, what have you. But now it seems like it's kind of coming against him. She's found her voice, she's standing on her own 2 feet, and how much control can he wield if she's resisting him? But yeah, it was a really weird interaction, especially with him saying, "You look just like your mother in certain lights." And it's like, fuck off.
I took that as him. That's like his subtle attempt at kind of like playing her and kind of appealing to like the need for like motherly love and shit. Like I have a feeling he said that to her before. Like, "Oh, you look like your mother," and that just kind of brings her back into like the daughter role. When it's funny, he says that after she takes complete charge and says, "Hey, fuck what you're talking about. This is what we're going to do." And I think that's his way of kind of bringing her back down.
Well, like when he told her after Emma died, "Oh, go sit with the king and wear one of your mother's dresses." Like, what? Who says that? Who does that? Otto Hightower. That's
Otto needs to get laid. This man, bro, he lives too much through his daughter, through his grandkids, bro. You need some pussy, dog. He's doing way
Frank.
He's doing way too much right now, man. Like,
Frank,
God,
only
he
you
needs
would
a
say
hobby.
that.
No, for real. He is that parent that lives through his kids and his grandkids, but has no identity for himself.
Oh yeah,
Like he's so
no doubt
desperate for
about
power.
that.
Like he's so desperate for power that he's living through his dreams, his fantasies, all his ambitions through his progenies and his grandkids.
And like, how are you gonna say like, how are you gonna call Alicent weak? There's no evidence that Otto Hightower has ever murdered anybody a single day in his life.
Not
I
a
don't even think
soul.
I don't even think he carries a sword. Like when they were on Dragonstone, like he was the only one without a sword. Everybody else had one.
This is how I knew Otto was weak. The the White Heart episode where we see Otto's brother for the first time. Look how he's talking to him. Like he treats him as an insignificant little brother. Like he's giving orders. Like it's there's no respect there. He was hand at the time, and like the way can't remember his brother's name, but the way he's talking to him is like he's some smaller lord at some like small insignificant house. That's how I know he's weak.
Yeah.
Is Otto the second brother? Is he the
Yeah.
younger brother?
He's younger brother, yeah.
There's something
remember-
about
remember-
second sons, second brothers in this show. It's just they're all fucked up.
Remember, Damon said about him, like a second son who stands to inherit nothing he can't grab for himself.
Right.
Mhm.
You're too correct on that.
Effectively talking about himself, but yeah.
Well,
I
it
think his
works.
older brother is Ormond. Ormond
I think that's his
Hightower.
name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
But like the way he talks to him is like, bro, aren't you the hand? like aren't you the second most powerful person in the realm? And like you getting big broed?
Power resides where men believe it lies. So
Facts.
There you go.
Fact.
There you go. So another great episode. Do you have any final thoughts before we go look ahead to next week?
Let's fucking go.
Okay. No. Hey,
Uh,
Frank. Go ahead, Tristan.
time to dance. It's dancing time.
There we go.
We're here. We're here.
Frank, George wasn't able to join us again this week, but he did talk to you about the episode. What were George's thoughts on episode 9?
He was he was upset about the slow pacing of the episode. He was like, bro, he's like, what is this, a scavenger hunt episode? What the fuck is this? I'm like, bro, like you have to understand, like we're seeing things through the lens of how people view Aegon, and like, because like at this point we don't know much about Aegon outside him being a sexual deviant and a rapist, but like on all
Not
accounts,
good things. Not good things. Yeah,
no,
go ahead.
not good things at all. But in all accounts, you see like the low confidence, like the product of like having a young mom who, in all accounts, Alison had him what 15, 16 years old. You know what I'm saying? She was ill-equipped to be a mother at that time. His father despised him in all accounts, pretty much ignored him. So like you see all those accounts throughout this episode of like why he's hiding, why he doesn't want the responsibility, and I feel like it was important to see that since we don't know much about Aegon. But I think George wants action, and I'm like, bro, this is not Game of Thrones. You're not gonna see a war every second or third episode. This is calculated. It's setting up the groundwork to the big shebang of Dance of the Dragons. But for people who are expecting Game of Thrones, and like the Battle of Blackwater and the Battle of the Bastards and all that kind of, you're not getting that. You're getting one big ass battle, one big ass manifesto of a war, but in a lot of little minor conflicts lead up to that.
Right.
And they're all significant. They're all important. And it's what drives this story. It's what drives the character development of the and I'll go back and say it. This book is finished. Okay. We're not having to, guess and make up shit along the way. Like this is done. This is already, printed, signed, it's done. Trust in the book, trust in George R. R. Martin, trust in the showrunners. And I will agree with Frank 100% that this is not the same level of Game of Thrones. It's in its own category, even though it's part of the same universe. However, what's really going to drive this is the behind the scenes and the backstabbing and the dialogue and all of that. It's all so important, and it's just so wonderfully done. And I we talked about how episode 9 is always like a major turning point for every season that was in Game of Thrones. This still held up, in my opinion, because it really is truly laying the groundwork for what we're going to see unfold and take course over the next 2 years in their timeline, not our timeline, of course. It's marvelous. That's all I'm going to say. It's marvelous. Trust in the show, y'all.
And people have to understand this too. Like another reason why it's not Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones had like what 30 different like locations, settings, stories, lands. Like 95% of the stories in King's Landing. You know what I'm saying? Like and and it's really about one family. You know what I'm saying? It's not about like all these different factions and feudalism and fealty and houses. It's about one house fighting over power. So we can't compare this to the Song of Ice and Fire with Daenerys and Jon and everything in between. But again, man, like for all of us who have been book readers and like still knowing what's gonna happen, but at the same time, like the little changing up of the story for the show. Shout out to the directors, man, and for each episode, the women that are involved, the showrunners, man, to be able to add your own flavor to this. Weiss and Benoff need to take fucking a study guide on how to make something your own. Like
No, they can fuck off. It's fine.
they took this story and they made it their own. Like even the characters have like different like character flaws and like character perspectives from the books, which I appreciate. And like it's making the story better. It's adding more of a modern flavor to it that I can appreciate more than just reading some white man's words on page and account mixers and shit from 3,000 years ago. I mean, I love it, man. Like this team of writers and directors are doing an A1 job. I can't say that enough.
I've never been more supportive of a character in committing crimes the way I feel about Damon. Like that takes a special person out there to make me like just not question him, just support him. We're good. Tristan, what say you?
Well, I watched The Sopranos and The Wire, so like I watched Tony Soprano kill a guy on his daughter's college visit, and bravo for me. So that's that's who does it for me. For me, again, I'm gonna piggyback on something Frank said about being a book reader, and I think that's always the lens I view this through first, because as I'm watching, I'm recalling things that I've read. So I love it that not just that the show has the balls, honestly, to kind of take these creative liberties with a lot of stuff that happens in the books, but to change some stuff, right? It's at this point where I trust them to make these changes. I trust them to kind of extend out things that happen in Fire and Blood and like adapt it to make it still a television show. It has to be a television show. It's still a great story, but it's still a television show at the same time. This is still Game of Thrones. So a lot of the conversations that we see, because we don't really get the intimate conversations in Fire and Blood. We don't get those at all, right? So this show it's been lights out on the room, the conversations happening in different rooms, which I would always argue has always been the strength of Game of Thrones. It's not the dragons, it's not the battles, it's not the White Walkers, it's not the sex. It is people talking in a room and seeing how those words like make a life of their own and like go into these different plot points and affect the story in so many different ways. So House of the Dragon has had, I think, a much tougher job than D&D had on Game of Thrones, because yeah, they have canon to like work off of, but those are just major events. Like, how are you going to fill it in with the conversations, the dialogue, and such? And they've done that, and they've done it very well. So I have to commend them on that. Last night, I think the casual Game of Thrones fan probably won't hold it up with a lot of the classic penultimate episodes, but for me, it was tense. Like the hunt, the beginning where you just go into different rooms and seeing these like empty rooms, either really early in the morning or really late at night, and you're just kind of seeing how it's easy for a lot of people to not know that the king has died. Like, people are just doing different shit, whatever. And I love the way they portrayed that. Like, I was tense the entire time, up until like Rhaenys breaks through the wall with Meleys. Like, everything, I was just waiting for something to happen, and it's beautiful to have that again, where we don't have to rely on a battle to keep our attention, and like keep that same level of tension. So last night was completely excellent. My original thought at the beginning of the season was that we were going to get one of the major Dance of the Dragon events in episode 9, but they're saving it all for the finale, and I could not agree with that more. So
it's going to be a hell of a way to go. I mean, talk about a cliffhanger. It's going to be a hell of a way to go.
Tristan
and that's something Game of Thrones does not do. Game of Thrones never left us at the end of a season on a cliffhanger, if I'm not
Well,
mistaken.
Maybe with the exception
season
of Jon
5.
Snow
Yeah.
and
Oh,
his
yeah.
death. That's probably the exception.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at that point, my bad, Justin said to me, "I can no longer recommend this show to you. Don't watch it." I'm like, "Why?"
Frank was there. Frank was there when we watched season 5 finale together. He and my wife. And I swore off the show.
I was devastated. Yeah.
I had to talk
swore.
Tristan off a ledge, bruh. I had to, like, and this is me of all people. Like, I'm quick to walk on the show quickly, but when I saw, I was like, bro, he's coming back. He's coming back, dog. Like Melisandre's there. Like, too much sense makes too much sense. Why would Melisandre be there? The
Right.
sorcerers of all sorcerers, and
Yeah.
he's coming back.
See, and I hadn't started watching the show. It wasn't. It was right before season 6 was about to start. That's when I binged the whole damn 5 seasons, and then I'm like, okay, I get it. Like I'm with y'all now. I get it. Okay. Justin, do we want to talk about what's coming ahead?
I just want to kind of put a pin in it. I think that the bar that Game of Thrones set with the penultimate episodes, I think this definitely cleared that for me. I mean, I thought it was right up there with all the other great ones. Like Tristan said, I mean, it was a very tense episode. You're wondering what's going to happen. And I mean, like, there's a lot of suspense. It's suspenseful, right? Like, it's meant to be this long, drawn out, not too long. It's like a hour-long episode, but it's drawn out. You're trying to figure out what's going on. The fact that Rhaenys, like, comes up from the ground with a dragon and she gets right in their face, and instead of saying Dracarys and just burning everyone, the dragon just screams and the air just knocks their hair back, and Alicent tries to shield her son, who's now the king. Like, it was great. The actors were great. It was a great episode. But let's look ahead now to the finale, because I have gone over the like 60-second preview for next week about 15 times, and yeah, this is probably my favorite part of the shows when we talk about that. So let's get to that right now. So it opens up with Rhaenys is talking to Rhaenyra and Daemon, because as we saw in the episode 9, the very end of it, she flies away. She's going to warn them what's happening. So she says, "The Greens are coming for you, Rhaenyra, and your children." Then Daemon says, "You cannot bend the knee to the High Towers. They stole your birthright." The next part, I want to get y'all's thoughts on. We hear Rhaenys saying, "Every man standing around the painted table urges her," which, maybe she's saying her is Alicent in this case, "to plunge the realm into a war." But as she's saying that, they're showing the table that Rhaenyra's group is around. So that's why I'm wondering, is Rhaenys, is she team black now for the rest of the show? Or is she, because, she could have taken out team green, but she didn't for her reasons. What I want to know is, who is she saying that to? It's probably Rhaenyra, but it could be Alicent. What do y'all think about that?
I don't think it's Alicent, because why would she leave only to come back?
That's a valid point. That's a valid point.
That's my only, like, something has to drastically happen for her to change course and fly her dragon back to King's Landing after her being trapped in that castle.
Right. I mean, the reason why I say that is because, like right after that, someone in her group says we should lay siege to the Red Keep, and then Jace is like, "Send us." And Jace is there with Luke and their wives. So I don't know if they're going to King's Landing or if they're going somewhere else to fight this war.
They're gonna go somewhere else. They're
Okay.
not going to King's Landing.
But are they going separately, or are they going together? Because they're dragon riders. So
right, they're going separately. And
Okay.
Tristan, please correct me if I'm wrong. In this episode, there was brief talk from Tyland Lannister about Storm's End and whether or not Lord Boros Baratheon would bend the knee to Aegon as opposed to having pledged fealty to Rhaenyra. So Storm's End is going to be a really big, huge factor in the episode.
I also mentioned that he has 4 daughters.
Yes.
So
Right.
that let me know off top. I know what we're doing.
Not married.
I know what we're doing in the finale.
Are we getting Jace to Storm's End and flying back?
Ah,
Okay.
damn. Read the
Stop
room.
it, Frank.
I didn't finish it. I didn't finish
Stop
it.
it, Frank.
I was gonna finish it.
No,
Finish it.
stop it. No. Okay,
No,
so
we don't get that
so
in the finale, do we? No.
we're gonna get that in the finale. I bet you 100%. I
No.
bet you 100% we're gonna get that in the finale, and that's how they're gonna cliffhanger it.
I bet you 500% we're getting that in the
The mi-
finale.
Right. So Justin,
well, yeah.
to
No,
answer your original question,
I think I have an idea of what's going to happen.
yeah,
I
they're
mean,
not going
'cause-
to King's Landing. That's
right.
for damn
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. No, I don't want to spoil it for other people, but I think I've figured it out a little bit. I think that, you know, Robb Stark was a cool character and people liked him, and he was one of my favorites. And then he didn't make it. I think that this Jace Valerian Targaryen, whatever his name is, he's not an Aegon. I don't think he's going to make it out of the finale. That's probably, or maybe the other kid. One of them is not making it out of the finale. That's my
I just
prediction.
find it weird because if this is going 4 seasons, then like, don't you think that's happening a little bit too soon?
There's more kids. Don't worry.
Mm-mm. No, this is
This
in
is,
line.
I think, right on track. Yeah.
This is in line with the timeline.
Yeah, because I read ahead, like I said earlier in this episode, that episode 9 was encompassing 12 pages worth of just beginning with the dying of the dragons, as it's entitled in the book. We're coming right up against it because there are people from the Red Keep who are also worried about Storm's End. So yeah.
So the next part I thought was also interesting. There's a man with a sword. He's got his sword like holstered or sheathed or whatever. He's running toward a dragon. I cannot tell who this guy is. But it's somebody, it's some character that we care about, I would assume. Seems kind of strange. I don't know if y'all watch that, if y'all have any thoughts, if y'all know the answer to that, but
I don't care about the guy, I care about the dragon. And if it's Vermithor, I'm very excited to see Vermithor, who was the old king's dragon.
I think you're confused. That's a character in the MCU. Thor is an MCU character.
Vermithor.
Okay, sorry. I didn't hear all what you said.
Vermithor. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I find it amazing that you guys know all these dragons and what they look like. Like the only one I know is Vagar and Sea Smoke. Like all these dragons look like to me. I can't tell.
Melee's Red Queen.
Yeah,
like I saw
Caraxes has a weird look to him, and
Oh.
then Cyrex is just gold.
Well, I saw
Yeah.
Melee. I was like, is that Damon's dragon? Like I can't tell from these dragons, dog. They all look alike to me.
Well, she can't ride Damon's dragon anyway, so not her dragon.
Yeah.
Melee's Red Queen, man.
So the next thing we see is Sir Eric with an E, the one who left Team Green. He's presenting the crown. He says, "I swear toward the queen." So,
Do you know whose crown that is?
is it Viserys's crown?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's just a guess. Honestly, I did not know that.
They replaced a character from the book with Sir Eric instead to bring Rhaenyra the crown
Right.
and pledge the fealty to her. So
By the way, the finale is titled "The Black Queen." So
yes, it is.
that, and so are we made to believe that he's like going to be the Lord Commander now of her army or of her Kingsguard? Because the reason why I said that is because we see in the coronation scene with Aegon that Kristen Cole is given he's the one who puts the crown. He puts Aegon the Conqueror's crown on Aegon II's head and says, you know, the one true heir or whatever of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, that happened in the book too. I don't understand why the Lord Commander would bestow the crown onto the king.
Okay.
Tristan, any insight on that, or that's just how it was written, basically?
Yeah, that's just how it was written.
Yeah. So I think,
but honestly, there have been cases where like a member of the Kingsguard actually crowns. The Septon is who performs like the rites on the forehead and shit.
Right. Okay.
But the king, you know, somebody from the Kingsguard can put a crown on it like that.
It's just curious that it was the Lord Commander as opposed to, let's say, the Hand of the King. In this case, it's Aegon's grandfather. Why wouldn't the grandfather bestow the crown on him? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna like really.
I think Alicent wanted to like put everybody had a little, like everyone had a part in the coronation. She was very well organized.
But this was written in the book. Sir Kristen did, like I say, crown the king. With Sir Eric being the Lord Commander for Rhaenyra, I don't remember, because he was already on Dragonstone with her and one other King's Guard when they got news about Viserys and all that kind of stuff. So but I just don't remember if he does ascend to Lord Commander status.
Okay.
It's possible. I just have to go back and reread.
So now we get some dragons. So I assume we're going to see a lot of dragons in the finale. But there's a voiceover that someone says, "Your cause holds a power that has not been seen since the days of old Valyria." So, and I think they're talking to Rhaenyra.
Dragons.
Then we see Daemon, and he's singing in High Valyrian as a dragon is growling. Now, here's my question to y'all: Is he trying to steal a dragon? Like tame a dragon? Like what's the? Is it just his dragon? I don't understand.
No, I think he's singing to Vermithor. So next to Vhagar, Vermithor is actually the next largest dragon and is on Dragonstone. I don't recall if Vermithor has a current dragon rider. Tristan,
No,
Frank,
it
do y'all
doesn't.
remember?
No,
Okay,
it doesn't. It's vacant.
it's vacant. So yeah, no. So the dragon rider cannot have more than one dragon. So I think just to appeal to Vermithor's good nature is probably what Daemon's just trying to do, and have that dragon come to their side.
Okay. Any thoughts from y'all, Frank, Tristan?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it, but we are officially in war. Like it's happened.
Yeah.
Like Beesbury was the opening salvo of the Dance of the Dragons. Next week, the finale is going to accelerate it by 1,000, and then it's on from there. But I know the major thing that's going to happen in the finale. I know some of like the less major things that are going to happen. I like, Rhaenyra is going to be crowned. I love how like in the penultimate we get all greens, and then in the finale we get all blacks.
Yeah.
Like I love that. Like I wish Game of Thrones had more leeway to do stuff like that. Just kind of play around with the structure of the season. But yeah.
There's been a cool symmetry to the show in the fact that like what you just said, and then the fact that we had the Rhaenyra, the original Rhaenyra and Alicent actresses, they both did the first 5 episodes. Now you've got these the actresses who've taken over the character. Now they're doing the final 5, although Alicent I guess isn't going to be in the finale, just how Rhaenyra was in the penultimate. But I do like you're right, there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of symmetry to it. It's very well done, of course. And the last thing I want to talk about in the teaser for next week is we see Daemon and his crew are drawing swords as it looks like Rhaenyra and Otto are like meeting on the bridge. I guess they're delivering the terms. And how does Otto make it out of this exchange alive? Does he?
Don't remember if this is actually a show creation or if it happened in the book. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Show creation.
Yeah, so there could be half of your answer.
Okay.
Just they'll find a way.
I mean, I've got to think at this point, like it's not going to be like what happened in the first or second episode when Rhaenyra came in and saved the day and kept everybody from killing each other. Like I feel like at this point, you take the fight to Dragonstone, you're going to get the fight. So.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I think y'all maybe know a little more than you're saying, which is good. I don't want to be spoiled, but so hey, Brittany, how can people find us? Go ahead, Tristan.
I was gonna say, when you see this condescending nod from me, then that means I know a lot, and I'm really trying not to say anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's a delicate thing. It is kind of a dance of the dragons, if you will, because like we want to talk about it, but we can't fully talk about it. So like it's a little here, a little there, doing the best.
Enjoy. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Brittany, how can people, if people want to talk to us about this episode, tell us what they liked about it, maybe what they didn't like about it, if they thought it was slow or whatever. How can they find us on social media to let us know that?
Well, I highly encourage everyone to do like what we're doing today, and that is join us in the live stream. Shout out to Amber from All of Amber's Wands. Shout out to Drew, our brother in the North. Marco was also in the chat. Appreciate your thoughts as well. And everyone else who has been watching this pod. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and like it. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on the road to 200. Help make that happen. But you can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search The Watchers in the Basement or at Watchers Basement. Use the hashtag Watchers Basement to not only help us grow our audience, but to tag us in articles, memes, things that you want us to review. We love to interact with y'all in that way. And for those who are not into video podcasts, we are also available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, thanks to Anchor.fm. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. That way we can continue to grow our audience and also just get the word out about who we are. We are a small podcast, but we are a proud one. Back to you, Justin.
Thank you, Brittany. So for Brittany, for Frank, and for Tristan, this is Justin saying, we'll see you next week when we review the finale, the season finale of House of the Dragon. Man, this season's gone by fast, but we can't wait to talk about it. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.